Very good. We're on YouTube. For those of you out in YouTube land, we're continuing with our reading and discussion of James Joyce's Ulysses. And we are in what's referred to as the Ithaca section, which is the second to the last chapter. How we're going to proceed is that each of us here on the Zoom are going to get a chance to read. Everybody will read, and then we're going to go back to the beginning of our reading, and we're going to have a discussion. So the key word for this is we're going to start with the question, had Bloom and Stephen been baptized? All right, now let me get to my copy of the book. Okay, so here we go. Had Bloom and Stephen been baptized? And where? And by whom? Cleric or layman? Bloom 3 times by Reverend Mr. Gilmore Johnson, M.A., alone in the Protestant Church of St. Nicholas without Coombe. By James O'Connor, Philip Gilligan, and James Fitzpatrick, together under a pump in the village of Swords, and by the Reverend Charles Malone, C.C., in the Church of the Three Patrons, Rathgar, Stephen, once, by the Reverend Charles Malone, C.C., alone, in the Church of the Three Patrons, Rathgar. Did they find their educational careers similar? Substituting Stephen for Bloom, Stoom, would have passed successfully through a dame school and the high school. Substituting Bloom for Stephen, Bleffen would have passed successfully through the preparatory, junior, middle, and senior grades of the intermediate and through the matriculation. First arts, second arts, and arts degree courses of the Royal University. Why did Bloom refrain from stating that he had frequented the University of Life? Well, because of his fluctuating uncertitude as to whether this observation had or had not been made already by him to Stephen, or by Stephen to him. Next reader, please.
That's me. Yeah, okay. What two temperaments did they individually represent? The scientific, the artistic. What proofs did Bloom adduce to prove that his tendency was towards applied rather than towards pure science? Certain possible inventions of which he had cogitated when reclining in a state of supine repletion to aid digestion, stimulated by his appreciation of the importance of inventions now common but once revolutionary, for example, the aeronautic parachute, the reflecting telescope, the spiral corkscrew, the safety pin, the mineral water siphon, the canal lock with winch and sluice, the suction pump. What were these inventions principally intended for an improved scheme of kindergarten? Yes, rendering obsolete pop guns, elastic air bladders, games of hazard, catapults. They comprised astronomical kaleidoscopes exhibiting the 12 constellations of the zodiac from Aries to Pisces, miniature mechanical ories, arithmetical gelatine lozenges, geometric to correspond with zoological biscuits, globe map, playing balls, historically costumed dolls. Next, please.
That's me. What also stimulated him in his coagitations? The financial success achieved by Ephraim Marx and Charles A. James, the former by his 1 pence bazaar at 42 George's Street South, the latter at his 6.5 pence shop, and World's Fancy Fair and Waxwork Exhibition at 30 Henry Street, admission 2 pence, children 1 pence, and the infinite possibilities hitherto unexploited of the modern art of advertisement, if condensed in trilateral monoideal symbols, vertically of maximum visibility, divined, horizontally of maximum legibility, deciphered, and of magnetizing efficiency to arrest involuntary attention, to interest, to convince, to decide, such as K11, Kino's 11 hints, trousers, House of Keys, Alexander Keys, such as not. Look at this long candle. Calculate when it burns out and you receive gratis 1 pair of our special non-compo boots, guaranteed 1 candle power. Address Barclay and Cook, 18 Talbot Street. Bacallical, insect powder. Very best boot blacking. Unwanted, combined pocket tune blade pen knife with corkscrew, nail file, and pipe cleaner. Such as never. What is home without Plumtree's potted meat? Incomplete. With it, an abode of bliss. Manufactured by George Plumtree, 23 Merchants Quay, Dublin. Put up in 4-ounce pots and inserted by Councillor Joseph P. Nanetti, MP, Rotunda Ward, 19 Hardwick Street, under the obituary notices and the anniversaries of diseases. The name on the label is Plumtree. A plum tree in a meat pot. Registered trademark. Beware of imitations. Peat Mott, Trumplee, Moat Pat, Plamtroll. Next would be Sylvia. Sylvia seems to be frozen, so maybe I should pass it on to you, Ian.
Yeah, okay. If Sylvia comes back, you can interrupt me, Sylvia. What example did he adduce to induce Stephen to deduce that originally thought producing its own reward does not invariably conduce to success? His own ideated and rejected project of the illuminated show cart drawn by a beast of burden in which 2 smartly dressed girls were to be seated engaged in writing. What suggested scene was then constructed by Stephen? Solitary hotel in Mountain Pass. Autumn, twilight, firelit. In dark corner, young man seated. Young woman enters, restless, solitary. She sits. She goes to the window. She stands. She sits. Twilight. She thinks. Oh, on solitary hotel paper she writes. She thinks. She writes. She sighs. Wheels and hoofs. She hurries out. He comes from his dark corner. He sees a solitary paper. He holds it towards fire. Twilight. He reads solitary. What in sloping, upright, and backhand? Queen's Hotel, Queen's Hotel, Queen's Hotel, Queen's Hotel. What suggested scene was being reconstructed by Bloom? The Queen's Hotel, Ennis, County Clare, where Rudolph Virag died on the evening of the 27th of June, 1886, at some hour unstated, in consequence of an overdose of monk's hood, aconite, self-administered in the form of a neuralgic liniment composed of 2 parts. Of aconite liniment, composed of 2 parts of aconite liniment to 1 part of chloroform liniment, purchased by him at 10:30 a.m. on the morning of the 27th of June, 1886, at the medical halls of Francis Dehenny, 17 Church Street, Ennis. After having, though not in consequence of having, purchased at 3:15 p.m. on the afternoon of 27th of June, 1886, a new boater straw hat, extra smart, after having, though not in consequence of having, purchased at the hour and in the place aforementioned, the toxin aforesaid, at the general drapery store of James Cullen, 4 Main Street, Ennis. Next.
Sylvia, do you want to go now? You're back on.
Yes, I don't know what happened. Did he attribute this home on to information or coincidence or intuition? Coincidence. Did he depict the scene verbally for his guests to see? He preferred himself to see another's face and listen to another's words, by which potential narration was realized and kinetic temperament relieved. Did he see only a second coincidence in the second scene narrated to him, described by the narrator in the Pishgad site of Palestine, or the parable of the plums? It, with the preceding scene and with others unnarrated, but existent by implication, to which add essays on various subjects or moral plotograms, e.g., My Favorite Hero, or Procrastination of the Thief of Time. Procrastination is the thief of time, composed during school years, seemed to him to contain in itself, and in conjunction with personal equations, certain probabilities of financial, social, personal, and sexual success, whether specially collected and selected as model pedagogic themes of cent per cent merit for the use of preparatory and junior grade students, or contributed in printed form, following the precedent of Philip Beaufoy or Dr. Dick or Heblen Study in Blue, to the publication of certified circulation and solvency, or employed verbally as intellectual stimulation for sympathetic auditors, tacitly appreciative of successful narrative, and confidently augurative of successful achievement during the increasingly long nights, gradually following the summer solstice, on the day but 3 following Videlicet, Tuesday 21st of June, St. Aloysius Gonzaga, sunrise 3:33 a.m., sunset 8:29 p.m. And Orla, are you next?
Which domestic problem, as much as, if not more than any other, frequently engaged his mind? What to do with our wives? What has been his hypothetical singular solutions? Parlour games, dominoes, halma, tiddlywinks, spillikins, cup and ball, nap, spoil 5, physique, 25, beggar my neighbour, draughts, chess, or backgammon. Embroidery, darning or knitting for the Police-Aided Clothing Society. Musical duets, mandolin and guitar, piano and flute, guitar and piano. Legal scrivenery or envelope addressing. Bi-weekly visits to variety entertainment. Commercial activity as pleasantly commanding and pleasingly obeyed mistress proprietress in a cool dairy shop or warm cigar divan. The clandestine satisfaction of erotic irritation in masculine brothels, state-inspected and medically controlled. Social visits at regular, infrequent, prevented intervals and with regular, frequent preventative superintendents to and from free male acquaintances of recognized respectability in the vicinity. Courses of evening instruction specially designed to render liberal instruction agreeable. What instances of deficient mental development in his wife inclined him in favor of the last mentioned? 9. Solution. In his occupied moments, she had more than once covered a sheet of paper with signs and hieroglyphics, which she stated were Greek and Irish and Hebrew characters. She had interrogated constantly at varying intervals as to the correct method of writing the capital initial of the name of a city in Canada, Quebec. She understood little of political complications, internal, or balance of power, external. In calculating the addenda of bills, she frequently had recourse to digital aid. After completion of laconic epistolary compositions, she abandoned the implement of calligraphy in the encaustic pigment exposed to the corrosive action of copperas, green vitriol, and nutgall. Unusual polysyllables of foreign origin she interpreted phonetically or by false analogy, or by both. Metempsychosis, metempsychosis, alias, a mendacious person mentioned in sacred scripture. Next, please. Des.
What compensated in the false balance of her intelligence for these and such deficiencies of judgment regarding persons, places, and things? The false apparent parallelism of all perpendicular arms of all balances proved true by construction. The counterbalance of her proficiency of judgment regarding one person proved true by experiment. How had he attempted to remedy this state of comparative ignorance? Variously. By leaving in a conspicuous place a certain book open at a certain page, by assuming in her, when alluding explanatorily, latent knowledge, by open ridicule of in her presence of some absent other's ignorant lapse. What success had he attempted? Direct instruction. She followed not all, a part of the whole, gave attention with interest, comprehended with surprise, with care repeated, with greater difficulty remembered, forgot with ease, with misgiving remembered, repeated with error. What system had proved more effective? Indirect suggestions implicating self-interest. Next, please.
Example, she disliked umbrella with rain. He liked woman with umbrella. She disliked new hat with rain. He liked woman with new hat. He bought new hat with rain. She carried umbrella with new hat. Accepting the analogy implied in his guest's parable, which examples of post-exilic eminence did he adduce? 3 seekers of the pure truth: Moses of Egypt, Moses Maimonides, author of More Nebuchadnezzar, Guide of the Perplexed, and Moses Mendelssohn, of such eminence that from Moses of Egypt to Moses Mendelssohn, there arose none like Moses Maimonides. What statement was made under correction by Bloom concerning a 4th seeker of pure truth by name Aristotle, mentioned with permission by Stephen? That the seeker mentioned had been a pupil of a rabbinical philosopher, name uncertain. For other apocryphal allusions, sons of the law, illustrious sons of the law, and children of a selected or rejected race mentioned: Felix Bartholdy Mendelssohn, composer; Baruch Spinoza, philosopher; Mendoza, pugilist; Ferdinand Lassalle, reformer, dualist. What fractions of verse from the ancient Hebrew and ancient Irish languages were cited with modulations of voice and translations of text by guest to host and by host to guest? By Stephen, Sul, Sularum, Sugo, Shaker, Agus, Sul, Gokun. Walk, walk, walk your way. Walk in safety, walk with care. By Bloom, Kefola, Kariman, Rakach, Mad, Samak, thy temple, amid thy hair, it has a slice of pomegranate. Next, please.
How was a glyphic comparison of the phonic symbols of both languages made in substantiation of the oral composition. On the penultimate blank page of a book of inferior literary style entitled Sweets of Sin, produced by Bloom and so manipulated that its front cover came in contact with the surface of the table, with the pencil supplied by Stephen wrote the Irish characters for G, A, D, M, simple and modified, and Bloom in turn wrote the Hebrew characters Gimel, Alf, Dalet, and in the absence of Mem, as substituted Guff, explaining their arithmetical values as ordinal and cardinal numbers with a look at 3, 1, 4, and 100. What knowledge, possessed by both of each of these languages, the extinct and the revived, was the knowledge possessed by both of each of these languages, the extinct and the revived, theoretical or practical? Theoretical, being confined to certain grammatical rules of accidence and syntax, and practically excluding vocabulary. What points of contact existed between these languages and between the peoples who spoke them? The presence of guttural sounds, diacritic aspirations, epenthic and servile letters in both languages, their antiquity, both having been taught on the plain of Shinar 242 years after the deluge in the seminary instituted by Phineas Farsig, descendant of Noah, progenitor of Israel, and ascent of Heber and Hermon, progenitors of Ireland. Their archaeological, genealogical, hagiographical, exegetical, homiletic, topomastic, historical, and religious literatures, comprising the works of rabbis and kuldis, Torah, Talmud, Mishnah, and Gemara, Masorah, Pentateuch, Book of the Dun Cow, Book of Ballymote, Garland of Hoth, Book of Kells. Their dispersal, persecution, survival, and revival. The isolation of their synagogical and ecclesiastical rites in Ghetto, St. Mary's Abbey, and Mass House, Adam and Eve's Tavern. The proscription of their national costumes in penal laws and Jewish dress acts. The restoration in Canaan, David of Zion, and the possibility of Irish political autonomy or devolution. And
what anthem did Bloom chant partially in anticipation of that multiple, ethically irreducible consummation? Bullet, Beljor Premium, Nishi, Jibu, Bulbul. Why was the chant arrested at the conclusion of this final district in consequence of defective amendment technique? How did the chanter compensate for this deficiency by a paraphrastic version of the general text? In what common study did the mutual reflections merge? The increasing simplification traceable from the Egyptian epigraphic, heliographic to the Greek and Roman alphabets, and the anticipation of modern stenographic and telegraphic code in cuneiform inscriptions, Semitic, and the vernacular quinquinstostatic, writing, Celtic. Did the guest comply with the host's request? Doubly, by appending his signature in Irish and Roman characters. What was Stephen's audiptic sensation? He heard in a profound ancient male, unfamiliar melody, the accumulation of the past. What was Bloom's visual sensation? He saw in a quick, young, male-female form the predestination of a future. What were Stephen and Bloom's quasi-simultaneous political fuzzy sensations of concealed identities. Visually, Stevens, the traditional figure hypostasis depicted by Johannes Damascus, Laertius Romanus, and Epiphanes Monachus as Lacedaemic sesquipedalium with wine dark hair. Utterly blooms, the traditional accent of the ecstasy of catastrophe. Okay, next, please.
Nikki, it's you.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I still can't find where it is, but you guys, can you just keep reading? I'm kind of, yeah, I'm
yeah,
just,
we're fine. Yeah, just enjoy yourself. Just enjoy yourself. It's fine. Okay, so but the question is, do we want to do another round, but maybe a little shorter before we start our discussion?
quick question. Look, like you have this word straight, uh, parallel. Like, do you have that same what I can see here? Like they have a garden, those, like a bedroom. Do you have those words? Like it's a big bold word.
Oh, okay. So you're looking at the James Joyce Reader. Is that the text you're looking
So,
at?
yeah, I'm in the book there, so it's on the 17 chapter or whatever.
Right,
But
right.
they have those kind of their pictures. There is like big bold words to say parlor, garden. I think GARDEN, garden. Those big words.
I think
Uh,
I think maybe the text that you're reading, that if you click on any of those, you
did
will get.
this show you? Sorry for guys.
Okay, let me see
Okay,
if I
this
can.
one here, kitchen.
Okay, give me the
Uh,
second. I've got to get to.
see
Okay,
this?
here's
You know what
kitchen.
I'm talking about? And
Yeah, well, this is in that.
oh
There's
yeah, because you have book. Sorry,
that's
I
okay.
keep forgetting this. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so Nikki, the situation is that Leopold Bloom and Stephen Dedalus are sitting in Leopold Bloom's kitchen. It's very late at night. They're both very tired. It's been a very confusing day for them. And much of this conversation is guys talking all kinds of nonsense. That's how I interpret it.
Okay.
Because this is getting ready for the next chapter, which
Oh,
which is Leopold Bloom's wife, Molly, who has just had a love affair with another character called Blazes Boylan. So while Leopold and Stephen kind of represent the cerebral male who's always talking details and bringing in facts and stuff like that, this is getting us ready for a contrast with Molly, who's very down to earth, very sensual, very focused on relationship. So I don't know if that helps. I hope that helps.
yeah. Okay, every
Okay.
bit helps, but don't worry. So keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nikki,
Yeah.
if I could make a suggestion, a page or two beyond where we have just finished reading, there is a musical score. If you can find the clef with musical notes on it, and then
Okay.
go a page or two before that.
We can actually.
Okay. So leave that for me, guys. Because I do get pressured for you guys waiting for me. So you just go ahead.
Okay, but look for that musical score.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, here it is. Can I copy that?
The next
Little
page.
Harry Hughes and his school fellows all went. Okay, so back to the rest of the group. Shall we proceed with a little bit more reading, maybe a shorter section each? like a third of a
But
page. or something.
that would leave no time at all for discussion.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's quite a good bit there to talk.
There's an
Oh,
awful
there's
lot.
a lot. Oh, yeah. No, we're not going to get anywhere near.
Okay,
to
so
what
we go
we got.
back and chat. So
So we'll go back and chat.
yeah,
Very
that's
good.
okay.
All I have to do is go figure out where I was.
By baptism, good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So as I mentioned before, I mean, I don't know how this affects you, the rest of you, but this kind of puts me in the fugue state. By fugue state, I mean I I can't quite focus. It's
Yeah.
and I get that same feeling. It's late at night. It's been a long day.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I actually had to close the eyes for a few minutes there as well on stage.
There you go. Well,
No.
you're right in tune with it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the first one, had Bloom and Stephen been baptized? When and where, and by whom? By whom? Cleric or layman? The part that I picked up on was actually that uh, Bloom's third baptism was by the same reverend that baptized Stephen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's another crossover.
Yeah, but there's kind of humor in there as well.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
didn't some of his buddies do it to him? Is that the
Yeah.
idea?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Dave.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah,
Right.
that seems more like I don't want to use the word anti-Semitic, but that seems more like an enthusiastic group of buddies who
Mm.
decided they needed baptizing.
Mhm.
But it is unnecessary for someone. You see, presumably, if he went to Father Charles Malone in the Three Patrons Church,
Yeah.
and said, "I want to marry this lady from down the road called Molly,"
Right.
he'd be asked, was he baptized? Once he says yes, in other words, if you're baptized in a Protestant church, you don't need to, you are genuinely baptized. You don't need to be rebaptized.
Right.
You certainly don't need to be rebaptized under a street pump in Swords, but that was probably in the early hours of the morning after closing time.
Okay, yeah, so that's his three
Yes.
friends, James O'Connor and
Yeah.
Philip Gilligan
Yeah.
and James
Yeah,
Fitzpatrick.
but-
They're probably going down the street drunk and they see a pump and decide.
That's
The
very
lovely,
funny.
the lovely thing is that both Stephen and Bloom have been baptized in the same church that
Mhm.
James' mother and father were in the choir. You see? So it's
Yeah, but the first time he was baptized in the Protestant church. And then
yeah,
obviously because he was getting married,
well,
he had to
it's
be, he's
assuming
being moved to.
let's with Father Malone would just say you're fine. I have a friend who converted to Catholicism from Church
Yeah.
of Ireland and went to be baptized and was refused. He said you're already baptized. It's unnecessary. But see, if you're not from Dublin, you won't probably know what St. Nicholas Without is about.
No.
That's true. Yes.
There were two St. Nicholas churches, both Protestant. One without and the other within, meaning without the city wall, outside the city wall.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they were very near one another. They were a 3-minute walk from one another, but one was one side of the then city wall, and that was the one within the wall. And the one outside, without, was an old word for outside. And if you wanted to pursue this a little further, you and look up the records of both those churches, you will find no Gilmer Johnson serving in either of them at any stage. He's entirely fictitious. And if you have the pleasure of visiting the birthplace of Leopold Bloom in Clonbassel Street, if you're lucky, some local enthusiast will tell you it's on the wrong Clonbassel Street. It should be was in another place because that was not inside the parish of St. Nicholas without. So the thing is packed with, you could do a thesis on that paragraph alone practically.
Well, yeah, and I have my weird little viewpoints, and my viewpoints is this is all very male
Oh
because
yeah,
males thrive on seemingly factual details.
yeah,
That somehow we're under the delusion that if we have enough factual details, we have a grasp on the reality.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I find it very amusing that these two characters are going into so much factual stuff at
Yeah.
some
But,
very
but
late hour of the night where they're both fatigued and hungover.
but this whole thing about baptism is really important as well,
Mhm.
because in my time when I was in the hospital,
Oh, yeah.
the Catholic nurses, if there was were baptizing fetuses, and miscarriages. And
Yeah.
I was handed a little, did I tell you this before? I was handed, because of my name, Sylvia. Sylvia is a Protestant name, and I'm I have a Catholic surname. So people never knew whether I was a Catholic or a Protestant. And so I was handed a kidney dish, when there was this miscarriage. And then before I grabbed it, it was whipped away from me. And then somebody was over baptizing whatever or doing something. I didn't really know what. And then I said, why did you take the kidney dish away? And they said, oh, because you're not a Catholic. So I never said anything. I never really said whether I was or wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and then a friend, somebody that I know, their children, weren't and this is somebody who lived up near Shimashina territory. And one of the daughters, had a registry office wedding and had all these children, and they weren't baptized. And the mother, got them all, put them near the sink and baptized them, the granny. So it was really important because they would end up in limbo.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Sylvia, I remember in grade 4 religion class being told if you were at the scene of an accident, they said you can actually go baptize somebody there if the person is in danger of dying and wants to be baptized. Like this is
Yeah.
holy
How
cow.
old were you when you were?
Grade 4, I would have been 8 or 9, and they told us we could do it.
Okay. So
Yeah,
did you walk around waiting for an opportunity
I ran the other way. I'm sure.
to save a soul?
Ran the other way. Actually, I do have 2 questions. Joel, maybe you're the person for this. What is the significance of putting comb, comma, at the beginning of that sentence? Is comb a place in swords?
Yes.
Whom?
Coom?
Whom?
Coombe, no, it's not in that. Yeah, St. Nicholas without comma Coombe. The Coombe is a district in the south of the Liffey,
Okay.
inner city of Dublin.
Okay, thank you. And is the CC an order of priests, or is it just Joyce's way of saying Catholic Church?
I think Catholic curate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Catholic. Okay, I'll write that down. Thank you.
The Coombe is a maternity hospital. It's a
Yeah,
hospital.
also exactly.
Yeah.
It happens to nowadays be the location of a maternity hospital, which I wonder was it in Joyce's day as well.
But
Was it good there?
Sorry, could you repeat that point, Owen? I was just writing something down here.
the Coombe is a maternity hospital, and isn't it the Coombe that the hospital scene is set in? No,
No.
No, Hollis Street.
Oh no.
where's that set?
Hollis Street.
Hollis Street. Sorry, getting it wrong. But
Let me slip in.
The 3 baby hospitals in Dublin, the Coombe, Hollis Street, and the other one on Parnell Square.
Rotunda.
The Rotunda.
Rotunda. I should know because where I was born. I can't even remember the name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me slip in a little bit of housekeeping here. I may, in fact, very likely will suddenly disappear.
Okay.
And so Ann Doyle made you
Yeah, no
co-host,
problem.
so you can end the meeting in one click. Enjoy the
Behave.
power.
I just want
Exactly.
to ask, was Bloom born again as well? Because you have to be, if you were sort of like an Episcopalian or saved.
Mhm.
Often, I had some friends who were saved when they were 14 and they were baptized because I don't know if it's baptized, but like total immersion and all that. Because if you're saved in fundamentalist Christian religions, it can happen at any time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he
So was
was
Bloom a born again one as well?
oh no, but like he was born he was born from Ellen Ellen Higgins.
Ellen
Yes.
Higgins,
Church.
Caroli,
Well,
Ellen
I
Higgins,
mean,
nay
born
Caroli.
again as in that sort of Protestant.
No, he's
You know,
not.
the way there's a
He's not that sort of Protestant. He's Church of Ireland, and he went to high school, the Protestant school. You see, he's not a part of a Protestant sect. I don't know what their status would be, but the Church of Ireland would be recognized, you know. But it wouldn't be just like one of these preachers that we have the sign up. What's your man? What's the preacher who's that we hear about here?
Alexander J. Dowie.
Not
yeah.
not an Edward J. Dowie type of baptism. You know, I don't know if they pass.
Gather together, all you sinners.
All you sinners, and put your money in the pot.
That's right. I'm Alexander J. Dowie from Vladivostok to New York.
There you go.
But I mean, of course, born again. I mean, that's what baptism is supposed to be. That's why some fundamentalist sects say that you have to have total immersion
Yeah,
because you're supposed to go out of this life when you're dunked under the water, and then when the preacher brings you out of the water, it's supposed to be exactly like being reborn,
yeah.
just like your original birth from your mother.
But the RCs have all sorts of different types of baptism. You don't, like you don't even need water. You've got baptism of desire,
Fire.
which was really for use by the military. So if a soldier was suddenly faced with a terrible battle situation, his desire was enough to bring
Yeah,
baptism upon
actually,
him
in
without
in
anyone.
Dante, we had that yesterday
In
when we were reading
purgatory.
Dante. We had a character in there, Montefiore.
Yeah.
Who was the guy? Anyway,
Manfred.
okay, he was not baptized with water. He was saved because when he was slashed with the sword twice,
Yeah.
he repented, and that was enough.
Baptism of blood.
Yes,
Even
and
though
it
in that
actually,
case he had been excommunicated already, but
Yeah.
because of his last minute repentance without water, just with
Oh, yeah.
intent, he was in purgatory instead of the other place.
Yeah.
But the idea of baptism came from John the Baptist and his baptizing Jesus
Yeah.
in the Jordan. Now, I don't know whether it's true or not, but the story I have is that at the time of year he would have been baptized, the river at that time would have been about 3 inches deep, and there was no way could he have a total immersion.
Very good.
All right.
Apart from that, can I come back on the Three Patrons Church?
Yeah.
That was just a few hundred yards from where Joyce was born. But it was also called the Servants' Church.
Yes, it was
Now,
known
the
as
three patrons were Patrick, Bridget, and Columba, the three saints. And the church was about halfway down Rathcar Road. And at the top end was the Rathcar Methodist Church. The Catholic Church was known as the Servants' Church. And you can believe there were no servants in the Methodist Church.
Yeah.
It was simply a Catholic tradition that they would be servants to the Protestants.
Yeah.
There was Patrick, Bridget, and who else did?
St. Columba.
Remember.
It was actually
Thank you.
It was actually built at the instigation of the Protestant Church.
Yes, yeah.
Who noted that they had a lot of Roman Catholic servants, maids. In those days, there were no machineries for washing, and also, so it was all done by hand. And most houses around there had maids, and the maids would not go to the Protestant church. So and it was very wealthy area, and spanking modern with electric trams and all sorts of things long before New York had them. And they got together and contacted the Catholic Church with a view to having a church built. And I don't know exactly how it was funded, but Protestant money construction. It's an absolutely beautiful church. It's like a little gem lifted from Italy and put there.
We'll have to move on to another paragraph, guys. We'll never move on.
Yeah. Well, anyways, but yeah, we knew it. Like I lived up the road there, and my mother wouldn't go to that church because it's church.
Because it was built with Protestant money?
Because the maids all gossiped. They'd be telling stories about things. But well worth a visit to there, because you can see, if you go up to the choir, if you try to go up to the choir, you can see the little nooky doorway, and you can imagine John Stanislaus Joyce, having an interest in Mary Jane Murray at the 18-year-old.
That's the three patrons one, Joe.
In the three patrons, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, that's on my bucket list.
Well worth a visit. Well, like really great place to go, and you pick up the atmosphere.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've made a note of it, so I'll be going there.
I'll be going there as well, Owen.
We
might meet again, Owen.
Tell me when you're going, and I'll go down there.
Definitely. I love to know about these places.
And let me know in advance. And it's like all churches nowadays. It's not open kind of 24 hours, 7 days a week, and so you need to time it. And I just kind of check it out ahead.
Excellent.
Can we go on Saturday, August the 2nd?
Okay.
Either pick a date or don't pick a date, because just saying we'll go there, it won't happen.
No, I'm on my hollybobs until the 18th.
Okay.
I'm back in Cork.
Can we go on Saturday, the 13th of September?
Yes. Yes.
Done.
Yes. Done.
Saturday, 13th September.
Okay, get on with the
perfect. Thank you.
Three patrons.
3 patrons.
And we can also go to the pub over there where she was born in, can't we? The Eagle, is it?
Yeah, in Turner Crossroad. You can go up there as well. But look, guys, let's talk an email and that about this, because it's going to grow. We'll cover more things.
Yeah, we can do a bit more things. It's perfect. Thank you.
Let's not hold up the whole of everyone else's reading while we make our...
Okay.
It's in my diary.
That's great. Joe.
Duncan, you can stay in my place.
You stay in Cork, no problem.
I think it's wonderful that you're planning a field trip.
Oh, yeah.
I'm with you. Katrina, you're very welcome.
I'd love to.
Right, we'll move on to the next part. We're never going to get all the chapters finished.
And we will. We will.
There's a lot to talk about there.
But I mean, that's the key point about this episode. It's packed, as Duncan says. So, so anyway, I probably led you off on that whole thing. I won't do it again.
Oh, yes, you will.
I'm going to go, folks. I got to go. It's been fun, and I wish I didn't have to go, but I'm going to go.
Thanks, Duncan. Bye.
Okay.
Bye, Duncan.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Duncan.
Hi, Duncan.
Okay, come back.